to do that, no problem.
Okay, well, kia ora everybody. Thank you for coming to the Summer of Tech presentation. Summer of Tech supports skills development for students through their bootcamp program and helps connect students through their paid summer internships. And this morning we have Ruth McDavitt and Getchi Crow to tell us all about Summer of Tech. So, woohoo, take it away.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Kia ora koutou, I am Ruth. I am really stoked that you've gotten out of bed at this ridiculous hour to come and listen to our thing. I'm going to outline Summer of Tech, the program and the ins and outs and how it works, and then I'm going to hand over to Yekti, who is going to bring out some stories from our past interns, so people who are once upon a time were students and then they got internships through our program, and so they're going to share their tips and let you know how they did. You are most welcome to ask questions in the chat box by text as we go along. I'm going to pause for questions after my bit, and we'll try and get to everybody. All your questions, no pressure, lots of questions. Otherwise it's going to be a very short presentation. So it's awesome to see your beautiful faces. Otherwise I tend to kind of talk to myself. So thank you so much for having your cameras on, and feel free to wave at me occasionally, just so I know that you're not completely a cutout. It would be great. So today, Summer of Tech, what it's all about and how you can use it as a pathway to a paid summer job, so internships or a graduate role, or a bunch of other things that you can do with Summer of Tech. And as I said, yeah, heaps of time at the end for questions. So hopefully I just flipped over to another slide. This is the purpose of Summer of Tech, is to help break the cycle of not having experience without a job and not able to get a job without experience. We've been running this program since 2006, which is approximately ancient history, and our goal has always been to be that bridge between learning and earning, and really helping you kickstart your career in tech in New Zealand. We work with employers from all over the country, mostly in the North Island, I must confess. We know that there are different local programs in Dunedin and in the South Island, and we're really here just to be another option for you. We started off with startups, so we have a lot of smaller companies that you may never have heard of, but also right through to medium-sized ones, corporates, banks, government departments. There's a real range of employers who work with us to find top talent. That would be you. So it means that if you have a profile on our website, it's going to expose you to lots of different opportunities. Last summer, we had over 350 summer internships throughout New Zealand. And one of the big questions we're getting at the moment is, what's happening with the jobs? So I do not have a crystal ball, but we're feeling very optimistic about this summer. We've had amazing support from our sponsors, so they're back again. I should mention we're a non-profit program, so we work really hard to keep it free for students. It's always free for students, and then we get support from employers. So in terms of how many jobs, at the moment we're saying more than 200. Right now we haven't got any listed yet, but that is very, very normal for our program. Our summer jobs will start getting listed in June, July. So we're not worried at all. We are expecting there to be lots of opportunities. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. That's our best guess. I know it can be tough, and if you've got questions about this, if you're struggling to find opportunities, I'm more than happy to talk about it, or you can get in touch with the team looking for advice. The biggest thing that we're saying, particularly for grads, is that you may need to wait a little bit longer to get that dream job, but you should definitely keep applying. There are a lot of opportunities out there. So we have genuine internship opportunities. So we're working exclusively with employers who want to hire students and grads. So they're not particularly interested in your past experience. They're hiring on potential, and they're going to have a mentor, and they're going to have real work for you to do, and it's going to be paid. Your side of the deal is to be ready to learn on the job, hit the ground running as much as possible, ask lots of questions, and do your best to contribute what you can. So to get you there, we provide a huge amount of free professional development and support as you come through the program. And the great news for Otago students is that with the lockdown, we've moved all our boot camps online. which means that there is no disadvantage to not being able to get to a boot camp in Wellington or Auckland. We've been recording them, so if you're just joining us for the first time now, you can go back and catch up on the videos and see the topics that we've been covering since March. So we have a range of support through our bootcamp program, from everything from CV, how to write one, interview skills, technical topics. We also help you close to the time do research on the companies and the jobs that are available. And a lot of future employers are actually the people who are coming in to deliver our bootcamps. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the types of jobs that we have. So our internships are paid, as I said. We really encourage the living wage. The range of pay last year, the average was around $23 something per hour last year. It is real work. It's mentored, and as I said, it's supported by the employer. The types of roles that we have, we came from the world of code, so the majority of our jobs are still in the programming, whether it's mobile or front end or back end or full stack or web development. Again, they're not expecting specific experience in the technology they're hiring for, but they are expecting you've got some fundamentals from uni and, of course, a willingness to learn. We have software engineering roles too, and again, they're not expecting experience. They want to give that to you, but they expect that you've got the basics and an interest in applying your learning in a real world situation. So anything operational, so DevOps, SRE, these types of roles are growing really fast at the moment. These sort of intersectional roles, so anyone who's doing double majors or got interest in the networking and operations side of things, also opportunities there. We do also have design roles, usually with a focus on user experience, user interface. Sometimes there's a marketing element, particularly in smaller companies. Somebody in that design role is going to be doing quite a lot in terms of that customer experience as well. So our design roles tend to be with digital companies as opposed to design agencies. So you're very likely to be working with developers and other technical teams as well. So another growing area is all things analytics, whether that's data analytics, business analysis, and more. Students going for these kinds of roles are often doing a double major with maths or stats or information systems or something completely different that is really enhancing their communication and people skills. And they often end up going down an analysis pathway. And hopefully we're going to have Cody join us later on to talk about her role. This is a breakdown just for those who like graphs. This is last summer's internship role types. So you'll see there, as I said, software development is definitely the majority of our roles, but there's quite a long tail there in terms of other specialist areas. So our goal is to help launch you into your tech career. I mentioned, I think, boot camps, we call them. It's no press-ups involved. It's free training. It's delivered by industry volunteers, really focused on the types of things that companies want to see in their interns and grads. We're also trying to just demystify completely the recruitment process and help you find out the stuff that's really important for getting a job. These are real photos of real events that we've had in the past. We're hoping that we'll get people in the same room again by August, September, fingers crossed. But we do have plans if that's not possible. We really want to connect you with the employers before you graduate, help you test out different work environments and roles and find out more about the awesome industry you're about to join. So this is a little bit more about the nuts and bolts in terms of how it works. And again, please jump in and ask questions in the chat if anything's not clear. And I think you can do direct messagey things as well if you don't want to go public with that. So right now is the time to get your profile sorted on our website. So this is a regular type employment profile. You'll need your CV, a copy of the academic record. Will help you write a quick cover letter. And it's great. We really encourage you to get that completed and approved by the end of May. If you leave it to the last minute, it'll be a bit of a scramble. Come to the boot camps. As I mentioned, you can come to everything. They're being delivered online at the moment, and there's a lot of opportunity to engage with the presenters and your peers and mentors on our Slack channel. So you can certainly connect even more than you could in the past. You can, as I said, you can catch up on past events as well. We've got a lot more coming up. We'll take a little bit of a break in June because I'm sure you've got other study that you'll need to getting back to, but we will have a busy program right through to September. In August, we run weekend hackathons, which we call them Create Camp. It's not quite the competitive hackathon environment. It's more around fun. It's a team event. You work alongside mentors and other people, other students, and you build something cool over a weekend. It is a fantastic opportunity. Most people say that their learning at a Create Camp is intense and amazing. It is invitation only. We do support travel. So they run in Auckland and Wellington, and we've certainly supported Otago students to attend in the past, again, if we can get everyone in a room. Recruitment itself happens mid-September, and again, looking for an in-person meet and greet. This is kind of like a old-fashioned career fair, but it's better prepared in that you've had an opportunity to research the actual roles that are being advertised, and you're able to go and speak to the potential mentors and the employers. You've done a lot more homework that you may have done for the old-fashioned career fair, because this is essentially your first impression and the beginning of the recruitment process. We also have interviews. So we host what we call speed interviews, where employers can invite their shortlist or long list of candidates for a 10-minute interview. Usually for out-of-town students, this wouldn't happen. They'll do a remote interview via Zoom or Skype or Hangouts or whatever. They'll arrange that directly with you. So being in Otago, applying for a job in Auckland or Wellington or Palmerston North or Christchurch is not a disadvantage at all. The employers in our program are going to run their own recruitment process, and they're going to do it pretty fast. So from mid-September to the first week in October is when they do their interviews. You could expect to see anything that you'd see in a recruitment program. You may get a technical test, you may get a long form interview, etc., etc. And we will communicate with you as much as we possibly can what's coming for that recruitment season. The offers for our program will be released on the 7th of October. We're aiming to get you all sorted and know what you're doing for summer before exams start. Offers will come out by email, and about 90% of our roles get filled within the first 48 hours, so it's pretty short and sweet. But we do get a few late roles, and they'll pop up right through till December. So there are always more jobs coming. Employers just sometimes aren't quite organised by October. They don't really know what they're doing next week, let alone in the summer. That's it for my What is Summer of Tech. So I'm going to have a wee pause there and see if anybody has any questions. And since there's a small group of us, feel free to switch on your microphone and ask a question if you've got one. I'm going to have a sip of coffee while you think about that. I answered all the questions.
Yeah, it seems like it's fairly comprehensive. I'm Jack. I'm in Otago doing a Bachelor of Data Science.
Thanks, Jack.
I was just wondering, you mentioned you had a few data science and business analytics type roles. Would you be able to give any information about what kind of companies you had for those roles last year?
I could definitely do that, but probably not off the top of my head, to be honest, because I was on leave last year. But they are generally from a range of different types of companies. So not just, so we with data science roles will be represented in tiny small startups that are quite data driven, right through to more sort of established companies where you might be working alongside a team. Also very large companies as well. So it really goes across the board. Yeah, off the top of your head, do you know of any case studies that we've written up from last year?
No, I'm just having a flick through now.
Yeah.
I'm only really familiar with a few in Dunedin and then Loves Data, which is a place in Wellington that takes a few Victoria graduates.
Yeah, no, for sure. I tell you what, Jack, could you just direct message me through the chat, and I will make a note of your email and I'll get back to you on that with some more information. Is that cool?
Thank you.
Anyone else interested in a particular field?
Hey, I'm Tian. I'm doing a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and a Bachelor of Applied Science in Software Engineering. I guess I'm just interested in more of the software side, but you said it's a pretty big list, so yeah.
Cool. Have you got a favorite programming language? That's
Yeah,
often a question. What should I study?
yeah, so like Java and C are my kind of two go-to.
Awesome. And that's a really common foundational, fundamental sort of languages to start with. Don't be afraid to jump to apply for roles which may be in a slightly different area, is my advice there. Companies will support you. A lot of them are working in different technologies, and you can usually, like learning any language, you can usually adapt pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. A question that we often get asked is, what year of study do you need to be in? And so my reply to that is, any year is fine. Most interns will be hired in their at the end of their second year or third year. Some companies are particularly looking for final year students, but there are opportunities for first years and PhDs and everywhere in between. In our program, it's more about your interests and your aptitude than it is about what in particular you're studying. Cool.
Oh, yeah, just one more question, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
You said for when you're setting up your profile, attach your academic record.
Yep.
So are employers looking for like, the top end, like A+ students, or are they kind of looking for a range, or?
The employers, this is a gross generalization. The employers who care about your academic record are possibly using it as a filter. Some of them who go out with a GPA requirement or a grade requirement are trying to deal with hundreds and hundreds of applicants, and this is a really, really blunt instrument. However, most of the employers in our program are coming from a place where academic excellence is not a proxy for industry excellence, so they are really looking more at the whole person. However, there may be some areas where if you completely bombed, that might be a worry. Yeah. So in our program, they're more looking at the whole person, and they're less likely to just use it as a filter. But there might be something like, in Jack's case, for example, with his data analytics, data science, if he'd got a complete crap grade in some mathematical subject, that might be a bit of a worry, for example. Sorry to use you as an example there, Jack. I'm sure that's not the case. But yeah, in general, they're just going to cast their eye down in our program. If you do see grad programs who have a GPA requirement, that is often a deal breaker for them. And it's not usually about the grades, it's usually about the 700 applications that they're trying to deal with.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
However, and this is not necessarily your case, but sometimes students have, shall I say, disruptions to their academic year. Let me think what that could be right now. And employers this year are definitely going to be aware of that, and they're going to be understanding of it. So if you end up with grades that you don't feel are a representation of your ability, my recommendation would be to weave something into your cover letter that turns that into an advantage. And I can help in specific situations to do that. But essentially, that's my advice with anything. If you think that it might be a weakness in your application, be proactive and flip it and make it an advantage, and talk about all the resilience that you learned while you were focused on things other than your studies. Or, I mean, tell a true story, but you can easily kind of head it off before it becomes an issue.
Cheers, that's some really good advice.
We do quite a lot of stuff like that. So once you're registered for our program, which is a pretty simple process, there's an intercom chat bubble that we use. So our team is pretty active in terms of helping out with CVs and things like that. Cool. I haven't actually seen all the people who are joining, but I saw Ryan come along. So I'm excited that Yeti might introduce herself and then also introduce some of our alumni. So we may have 1 or 2 or 3 people to talk to. So over to you, Yeti.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruth. So yes, guys, good morning. So this morning we actually have our 3 Otago University alumni. And they all have kind of like different stories on their internship and background of studies. And I think hopefully you will find their stories interesting and insightful, and feel free to always ask them any questions in the chat box or at the end of the alumni panel. So I think I will start with a quick introduction of myself. I am the event coordinator for Summer of Tech, and I am based in Auckland, while everyone else is based in Wellington. So I'm here trying to guard the fort. And today we have 3 alumni. The first one is Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Can you?
Hi.
Yeah, awesome. And Cody.
Hello.
Hello. And Harley.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. So why don't we start with a quick introduction of all of you guys. What's your name, what you are or were studying at Otago University, what was or were your internships through Summer of Tech, how was it like, and what are you doing now? So I think from my screen, I should start with Ryan and then Cody and Harley. All right?
Yeah,
The floor is yours.
Sweet. So I'm Ryan. I finished computer science last year at Otago. I was very fortunate enough to have done 2 internships through Summer of Tech. So I started in my second year at BNZ as a mobile app developer. So I worked on their Android app. And then in my final third year, I did an internship at TradeMe in a similar role as an Android developer. And so at BNZ was a really cool experience. We got to sort of, it was very, so we worked with other interns as well. So we kind of started off with a couple of internship projects, which was really good because none of us really had any experience, and so it sort of eased us into things. And then eventually we sort of joined the main teams and got to work on main features for the app. It's like bug fixes and things like that. And then my TradeMe internship sort of followed, a similar path. I sort of worked a little bit with the interns at the start, and then we started working in bigger teams. Got to work on implementing dark mode into the app. That was really fun. And made a couple of mistakes along the way, I suppose, which was a big learning experience, which I guess was probably my biggest takeaway from the internships, was that it is okay to make mistakes, and there's a ginormous safety net for you to be able to make those mistakes. And so when we first published dark mode, for instance, I had accidentally made it so that it, for some users, it completely blacked out their entire screen and they weren't able to use the app. But because we had all these systems in place, we were able to roll that back, and it was not a big deal. But it was just a ginormous learning experience. Like, these are the things not to do in software development. And they're totally expecting you to make those kinds of mistakes, and they're sort of there to support you. And yeah, throughout, so my both internships lasted about 4 months, and at the end of my TradeMe internship, I was offered a full-time role, which was really exciting. And so, yeah, that's where I am today. I guess sort of tips for applying. I think my grades at Otago University, sort of to answer a question before, I wouldn't say were particularly amazing, but sort of what I found to sort of stand out was adding volunteer sort of roles or weekend projects that I worked on to my CV to sort of try and make me sort of stand out a little bit. Because yeah, like Ruth said, they are reading heaps and heaps of CVs, so the more little tidbits and extra curriculum things that you've done that you can add to there, I think will really sort of help you stand out. Yeah, that's sort of little summary.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Yes, correct. So a lot of the times we got questions from students. Oh, I've never worked professionally before outside of college. And how do I put any experience into my profile to make it kind of seems like that I have immersed myself in projects other than the schoolwork. So what we suggest our students is to actually mention all of those school projects and volunteering experience as well in the profile, to know that you have other interests outside and that you are passionate and that you're willing to learn something new. So that was a really good advice. Thank you, Ryan. We go to our second alumni, Cody.
Hello, I'm Cody and I studied data science at Otago University, and I got an internship last year at New Zealand Trade and Enterprise. So NZTE for short, it's a Crown entity that helps Kiwi businesses export internationally. So we have about a portfolio of about 700 main businesses called our Focus 700, and then we have about 2,000 to 3,000 foundation build customers, and we have about 40 offices around the world. So it's a pretty big organisation. I moved from Dunedin to Wellington for the internship, and I began as a knowledge specialist intern on the knowledge team, and it was extremely varied. I think NZTE is a very project-based organisation, so we're always trying to react and adapt to our customers and what they might need. So obviously even more now because of COVID-19, but it was varied, and I got the opportunity to work across a lot of different teams. So not just on knowledge, but the performance team, which does a lot of business analytics and business intelligence. And I got to work with digital a wee bit and tapped into my coding experience, I guess you could say. I'm on a couple of projects there. And I think it's about kind of just like putting your hand up for things. Like I found a lot of the time there was 4 other interns, including me. And I kind of found that, you know, the more you put yourself out there and the more you just say, hey, I'd love to help, even if it was just making a dashboard in Power BI, which off a data set, like I did that a lot. Even if it's just something small that you think that you can help with, the majority of the time, people are open, especially because they know you're an intern as well, and that you're happy to help. They're happy to have you help them. So I found that was really good. And yeah, I guess another tip would be don't stress about doing interviews virtually, all my interviews virtually. So I did go to the original seminar with all the businesses, but then they had the speed dating rounds, and I was very nervous because I didn't want to fly all the way back up to Wellington for one 10-minute interview. So I kind of held back and did all my interviews virtually. And it's about just putting yourself out there again and being confident over Zoom or Skype or whatever. And don't stress, because they had about 300 applicants for the role, and I didn't even get to meet them in person when a lot of people did, but I still got the opportunity. So I'd say just, don't be scared of doing things virtually.
Yes, thank you so much, Cody, for sharing your experience. And ahead of the speed interviews and meet and greet, we always have a boot camp before that to kind of prepare students on what to do, how to actually ask questions and approach employers properly but effectively, and how to present yourself, and the importance of personal branding, and to also opening horizons. Most of the times students are coming in and like, oh, okay, I have this list of 5 companies that I want to talk to. But a lot of our alumni so far, they say, no, don't do that. Talk to the companies that you never heard of, or that you have very little knowledge, so that you can learn something new. So I think that was really good. And also in terms of the interview skills, we will have a special boot camp for that as well. So don't worry, guys. Thank you. And next we have Harley.
Thank you. So as you can see there, I'm Harley Patterson. I did a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science years ago, and I did an honours degree in Computer Science a few less years ago. And I'm currently doing a PhD also in Computer Science. I'm a masochist. So I first went through Summer of Tech in 2017 and took a role at RBIT Networks in Wellington, where I was working on software to talk to their databases. And then the year after I went through again, I liked it so much and got a job at Rocket Lab working on software for electrons, which is just a wee bit cool. And then, well, not through Summer of Tech, after that experience, I had to pick up an ongoing part-time role at a local data science company where I do software development. So I think some of the biggest tips here are really just not worry about making mistakes. It's been said before. I mean, I think it was you, Ryan, who said you'd made a dark mode go extremely dark for some users. No one worried too much. And then at Rocket Lab, I made a test server just completely fail and go offline. So, oops, no one cares. So don't be willing to make mistakes. They know you're an intern. They're happy to help you learn. At my first role at RV Art Networks, they even wanted me to learn a whole new language, phoned me up and said, okay, Sarah, do you know JavaScript? No, actually, I don't know JavaScript. Oh, don't worry, it won't be a problem. You can learn on the job. So my trick is being encouraged at some point just to go in there and not be afraid to learn on the job. And if you don't quite have all the skills required for a role, don't worry too much. Many of the skills they list on their job postings are more of recommendations than actual requirements. I think the final tip that I have comes to mind, it might not be so relevant this year with COVID, was if you can make some time to go to their meet and greets or spend some, it does help quite a lot, but again with COVID it might not be happening, Ruth, I'm not sure. That's pretty much what I have for you. Back to you, Yekti.
Awesome. We are optimistically planning for meet and greet to be happening physically. So fingers crossed, hopefully by then we will be able to have a lot of people in the room. And yes, that is correct. Like a lot of the employers, they are hiring our interns with the full knowledge that they will be mentoring you. So it's a great opportunity to learn hands-on and you're not afraid to actually make any mistakes. And the next one, I actually have a specific question to each of you alumni based on your experience. So I think I will start with Ryan, since you actually did the kind of similar role, both with BNZ and also TradeMe, which is an Android developer. So I'm kind of curious, like if you find any similarities and differences of doing the same role in two different companies. What is your biggest takeaways?
Yeah, I think the similarities were very, very similar. So I was paired up with a senior Android developer for both of them, who just sat beside me like day by day, and I could just turn my chair next to them and ask them questions, and that was like really, really helpful. And as well as what I spoke to before about like the giant safety net, like I was put in an environment where I was allowed to make like heaps and heaps of mistakes and learn from them. And I think like the differences really just sort of boil down to one being a bank and one sort of being a software company. At the bank, the projects were very quite like formalized and sort of set out, like you're sort of given the work and the stories and things to work on. Whereas at TradeMe, I was definitely given like a lot more freedom to sort of choose the things that I wanted to do, and if I had sort of suggestions or improvements that I wanted to work on the app, I was able to sort of just go and do it. So yeah, just sort of the way that the projects and workload was structured was quite different. And so it was pretty awesome being able to do 2 internships, so I got to kind of see 2 very different ways of working and sort of decide for myself which one I preferred.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. We're glad that you came back for the second time. That means the first time you had a great time, so that you're like, oh, I want more of this.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Like I really wonder where I would be right now without Summer of Tech. Like it was like just the whole application process and like the meet and greets and boot camps and stuff. Like they were really good for someone like me who didn't have any sort of software experience before. So yeah, I really enjoyed the programs.
Cool. Thank you, Ryan. And Cody, first of all, congratulations to actually securing a role, the permanent role at NZTE. So my question would be, how did you manage to do that after your internship?
Yeah, so there were 5 interns, and a couple of them stayed on. There was a database intern and a UX designer intern, and a couple of them stayed on in contract roles, so they're still here as well. And I guess it was at the end, I think it's always beneficial. I just basically approached my manager and asked them if they had a position, because I loved working there. And I think, you know, in many ways, you don't wait for it to kind of come to you. You kind of have to go out and get it. And she was like, oh yeah, like, we'd love you to stay if you'd like to stay on. Like, and I was like, yes, please. So I think that's kind of, I guess, my top tip is just have that conversation with your manager at the end of it. And if it's a no, then at least you tried. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think just by asking, you increase your possibility of getting whatever you want, because you just never know whether they need it or not. And the fact that you are kind of like being very assertive shows that you really interested in working for them and to kind of like stay on for a more permanent role. That's so cool. And the next one for Harley. So you are actually right now working for Iris Data Science as embedded and AI developer. So how actually your two internships help you to kind of be in your position right now? I don't know how you actually juggle this, because you're doing both PhD and also working as well.
I'm a masochist, that's how. So I think there's really three things that helped me with Summer of Tech and getting into that part-time position. Firstly, having some experience in going there and done something and just got something on myself and said, look, hey, I'm not completely inexperienced. I can do things for you, which is just being in Summer of Tech does. It solves that fundamental, I need experience to get a job, to get experience to get a job kind of chicken and the egg problem. The second one is just courage and experience to get out there and try new things. For example, at both actually Rocket Lab and IVR Networks, I was often given very independent projects. A case of, here's your project, you can ask this or that person if you get stuck, go figure it out. So I got very experience at managing my own projects and self-directing very quickly, which helps quite now at Iris too. I've got very much the same style of work. Here's your project, if you get stuck, ask this person, figure it out. And then the final one I found is by going through the internships, you are exposed to quite a lot more skills and technologies you otherwise wouldn't be. For example, at AVR, I picked up JavaScript. At Rocket, I was exposed to continuous integration testing and a bit of HTML and Angular. And it just widens that base of things you can do so you're more versatile and more attractive to employers for a full-time role. I think your microphone is muted, Yekti. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. You're right.
No
Yeah,
problem.
that's really cool. Yeah, definitely like showcasing your past internships into your CV and profile in applying new jobs definitely will help. Just like what Ruth said in the beginning of her presentation. So the whole idea of Summer of Tech is that we want to kind of like make you take the leap in your career and kind of break that vicious circle of like, oh, I haven't got a job, but I want to get a job, but I haven't gotten the experience. So here we are helping you with our all of the boot camps and everything. Is there any questions? I think it's time for a Q&A for the alumni panel. If you guys have any question at all.
We don't bite, you can ask.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Bill, you go.
Thank you. Rather than the internship chances, is there any graduate jobs available in the near future?
So I'll jump in there for an answer if that's okay. So we get about 80% retention from the internships. So even though they're advertised as internships, I think both Ryan and Cody could attest to the fact that they often turn into graduate roles. Some of the roles on our website will be specifically wanting final year graduating students, but they're probably from companies who are not running a more traditional graduate program. They may do their own graduate program independently. So that's a sort of is the answer.
I can confirm what Ruth said too. Both my roles offered me permanent work after I finished the internship, but just I want to go back to leave and study more degrees. And also, because employers have to pay Summer of Tech a small fee for the privilege of even hiring you, they are all very serious in onboarding new staff. So most are very keen to keep somebody on in the long term to make that investment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other questions? I think we still have a little bit of time here.
My question to the 3 alumni was, did everybody attend meet and greet in person? I think you did.
I did on the second year, not for my first year round.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go if you can't, or it's not convenient. It certainly does make a difference to get there and talk to the employees, get them to see your face and sort of have a baby interview.
How about
I went. I didn't go my second year, but on my third year, I was up in Wellington seeing friends already, so that worked out quite well. I think you can. Is that the thing you can apply for scholarships for travel?
Yeah. We do have some travel scholarships available. Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, because I found it really super helpful just going around, and all employers have like a QR code scanner, and so they get to scan your badge, and so that's sort of their way of remembering you as well. So it's a really good way to sort of get your foot in the door.
Cody, I think you said you came up for meet and greet, but then you had interviews remotely. Was that right?
Yeah. So I came up for the meet and greet, but then the speed interviews, I had a few of them, but the speed interviews are like 5 minutes even. So I remember Summer of Tech said distinctly, you know, if you have flown a long way, you can do these virtually. So that was really good to get Summer of Tech. I don't know, just reassuring all the people that no, you don't have to come all the way back just for a 5-minute interview. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, totally. No, that's really cool. But yeah, we do find that the meet and greet, if you can get there, and we'll help you get there if you can't, can be really beneficial, particularly that first time that you do it. Well, thank you. That was my question.
Thank you. If there is no more questions from the students, I think we have several slides at the end, right, Ruth? Yeah, but I would like to thank you all, Ryan, Cody, and Harley, for actually taking time off your morning to speak to the students and also share your experience and tips. And hopefully our students this morning will be able to kind of follow your path and find that your stories are insightful. Awesome. Can we get a applause for our alumni? Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, so next step, very important. You can register yourself and create a profile at summeroftech.co.nz. And then if you find any problem and if you have any questions or inquiries whatsoever, there is a little bubble on the right bottom corner, and you can chat with us, and one of our team members will be able to answer and help you navigate our website. And the next slide would be, it will be about the events that we're having. So until the first week of June, we will be conducting all of our boot camps online because of the COVID-19 and everything. The beauty of this online boot camp is that all of the videos are still on our website, and you can access it anytime at your liberty. And I think it will be really good for you to check it out. And we also have our online Slack community as well, where a lot of our mentors, volunteers, speakers, employers, and alumni are in there, and then they can also answer any of your questions anytime. And this is the next one, I think, is the upcoming boot camps that we have.
Which Ruth forgot to update, but Yekti is so awesome that she can do it from memory.
Okay, so today, actually, we have a CP 101. It's a live stream by our longtime friend and sponsor, Zero. So it will be a really good opportunity for you to kind of see how it is from the employer perspective to see what a good profile would be. So I really encourage you to join our session tonight. You can find all of that information on our website once you create the profile. And then we also have navigating career in creative industry, some design portfolio. And last week we had a really awesome Security 101 by Aura, which at the end of it, the students also get to do some kind of like a hacking demo where you like capture the flag, and it was really awesome. The video is also in our website, along with clean coding bootcamp by Pushpay. Okay, that's a lot. Basically, go to our website and you can get all of that information easily. And this is our sponsors for this year. That's it all from Summer of Tech. Thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email into info@summeroftech.co.nz, and hope to see you soon or again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Yekti, and thank you to all the alumni. That's great. And thank you to the students for getting out of bed early. That's fabulous. I forgot to say at the beginning that this presentation has been recorded. So it will be available on Career Hub as a resource for the next couple of weeks for students, so that, you know, all those addresses and everything will still be there. So thank you so much. It's been great. Bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.